My name is Commander Aaron. The purpose of today's briefing is to give you a complete overview of why the Rapture will take place in 2025. We will talk through the Masterplan in all its glory. The Masterplan is the main infrastructure that makes 2025 definitive. It has been constructed from a timeline of key events that have occurred throughout history. As shown, 8 of these events are history. The next event on the timeline is the Rapture. So why are we certain the events shown here are a part of a master plan? The reason we are certain, and this should shock you, is that each event was prophesied thousands of years ago, and these prophecies were written down and included in the Bible. Taken collectively, these events are the execution of a master plan. So how did we match these events to the prophecies? This is where our data analytics guys use search engines and machine learning to match up historical events with a corresponding Bible prophecy. The data analytics team worked closely with our team of history experts to quantify a Bible prophecy, quote unquote. It's been a painstakingly time-intensive process, and my team will talk more about their findings in later briefings. For now, I'm giving you the big picture so you know where we're going with this. So we have a timeline of events, a master plan that was baked into the Bible. We've constructed the jigsaw puzzle, if you will. But now we need to know the story. What is the story behind the master plan? We need the story to help us appreciate what this all means. Our team of history experts will give you more deets, but for now, let me give you the short version. It begins with the ancient Jews. Their story is like a classic anime plot. We all know it. We are introduced to the main character. He's part of a community, and he goes about his business. Life is simple. Then, through a twist of events, everything changes, and our main character is plunged into the darkest period of his life. Anger soon turns to rage. Why is this happening? Why me? Survival is one thing. Overcoming adversity means digging deep, treating the mind.
I want you to tell me!
Eventually, the period of darkness comes to an end, and our main character is restored and fully trained and disciplined to protect the people who mean the most to him. He finally gets to exhale and reflect on what went down. After a final great battle where he defeats his archenemy, our hero spends the rest of his life in glorious rapture. Now, back to the ancient Jews. I've asked Captain Moogs to take this part. Not only is he a better storyteller, he's also a history specialist, and this is his field of expertise. Over to you, Captain. Mayan, I'm freaking starved. Order me 4 fried chickens and a Coke. Is Garrity here yet? He needs to be here. Tell him to get off of his big fat ass. Yeah, I think the kitchen are all out of fried chickens, but I do highly recommend the Peking duck. I'm Captain Moogs. So let's begin the story of the ancient Jews with one that I'm sure many of you will be well versed in. Literally. So after Moses had led the people out of Egypt, you may remember, he went to the mountaintop and received 2 tablets of stone from God. Written on the tablets were 10 commandments, to be obeyed at all times. These commandments were written into a covenant, a legally binding contract between the people of Israel and their God. Now, if you did good, you got rewards. But there was a flip side. You would be punished for disobeying the commands. Today, we call this a breach of contract. The punishments were specifically set out in the contract. Sword, famine, and plague, basically. Their city would be destroyed and lie in ruins. The people would be exiled to other countries, and the land would lay desolate. For the next few hundred years, the people of Israel established themselves in their land. They built up their cities, including Jerusalem. They made a to-do list and went about doing everything on it. Around 1000 BC, King David had a son, which he named Solomon. And when Solomon succeeded David as king of Israel, one of his legacies was the construction of the first temple. The dedication of the temple was a glorious day. They sounded the trumpets and brought in the Ark of the Covenant. It was such a monumental occasion and meant free Wi-Fi for everybody. This is the part of the story where, much like our anime character, they went about their business. Life was simple. Life was good. But you know what's coming, right? Boom! Within a few hundred years, disaster struck. Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, besieged and captured Jerusalem. In those days, Babylon was a superpower, and the Jews were no match against their might. But capturing Jerusalem was not a small feat. We're talking about a large-scale op. King Nebi wasted no time relocating the Jews to Babylon. The temple was destroyed some 12 years after the initial siege began. Then allow another 5 years for the final removal of the Jews from their land. By the end of it all, the fallout for the Jews was catastrophic. For many, it made no sense. How could their God allow this? But there were also 3 holy prophets, Daniel, Ezekiel, and Jeremiah, all of whom had experienced the fallout firsthand, and we're talking 70 years at least. Now, these were not your regular prophets. They were the real deal, and they took a different view. They connected the dots back to the 10 Commandments and to the covenant that Moses had enacted. What they reasoned was that everything they had experienced in the fall of Jerusalem precisely matched the divine punishments that were specifically written into the covenant. This caused them to believe that the fall of Jerusalem was, in fact, divine punishment. Wait a minute. Hit the pause button. Divine punishment? Really? Somewhere along the line, had the Jews been that disobedient? Obviously, this would not go down well with people. But holy prophets are not like politicians. This wasn't about winning votes. They stood their ground, that in their view, the fall of Jerusalem was an act of divine punishment, executed because of a breach of covenant by the Jews. And these 3 men were unwavering on their position. So much so, that's practically all they wrote about. And each of their books was considered important enough to be included into the Bible. So then I update my team about how these major prophets all considered the fall of Jerusalem to be an act of divine punishment. So the next thing is I get a call from Corporal Clay at Data Analytics, and he starts telling me what his computers are telling him. And I say, what's that? Anyway, he tells me that his computers are definitive that World War II marked the end of a period of punishment, a prison sentence, if you will. I say, wait a minute. Freeze it there. Whoa! Are we saying the Jews were sentenced to a period of divine punishment that began with the fall of Jerusalem and ended with the Holocaust? I mean, that's insane, right? It's almost 2,500 years, right? And Corporal Clay says 20 years actually. Hey, he's a math geek. So I say, look, I need to be sure about everything before I take a position. Can you imagine Commander Aaron after I tell her this? Yeah! You got it. Anyway, I tell Clay to run his scans again, and I need to know the prophecies. Then I start looking through the book of Daniel again, and I'm digging and digging. And then, that evening, I see it. I see it, right there in black and white. Daniel chapter 4, he even says it 4 times. There's a little math involved, but it's trivial for computers. But it's there. 20 years. So then I take this to Commander Aaron, and she's like, yeah! Yeah, it's a big deal. We order pizza and a few beers. I'm pretty exhausted by then. So after taking a moment, Commander Aaron looks at me and she asks, how does this change the story? Actually, what is the story? I mean, it's the right question to ask. So we're thinking, and we think on it quite a bit. And then it hits us. We both see it. The Jews are the story. And it's their story that gives these atrocities meaning. Both of these atrocities are time-stamped into history as a marker to mark this 20-year period. This all has meaning because it is the key to unlocking the Masterplan. Without knowing any of the story, it would be very difficult to make sense or see any meaning behind the darkest moments in Jewish history. You need to appreciate what I'm saying here. Consider what's gone down. Earn this.
I want you to tell me!
After the Holocaust, the State of Israel was born, and the Jews regained their holy city of Jerusalem. Just like our anime hero, they were fully restored. And on that note, I'll now hand the briefing back to Commander Aaron.
All right, thank you, Captain. Excellent work. All except for the screechy part. That's not me, I wasn't there. You can't prove anything. Seriously, I'm proud of my team. They've performed very well.
On their first day, I say to them, your work here will save lives, including mine. So I expect and demand your very best. Anything less, you should have joined the Navy. Before we close today's briefing, I have asked Mr. Anson Garrity to say a few words. He is a U.S. representative on the G20 and part of the committee that established the Special Forces Rapture Ready team. He is a civilian and is therefore free to make his presentation to you in his own style. Personally, I would prefer less wisecracks and more discipline. But I realize this is not always possible whenever I have to work with civilians. Or the Navy. Mr. Garrity.
Don't be too hard on the Navy. Anytime we gotta go fight, those fellas give us a ride. I'm proud of all you guys. The work you do will save lives. I am 97% sure of that. I'll get straight to the point. The Rapture's coming in 2025. Are you ready? I am. My family is. The choice is simple. Prepare yourself for the Rapture, and when the time comes, you get a seat on Noah's Ark and you leave the building along with all the other Elvises.
A few of the military elite believe I'm wasting my time with these briefings. They think I'm on some mercy mission, out to save millions of lives. Is this a waste of my time? I hope not. We may joke around and have a few laughs, but at the end of it all, I'm deadly serious. There are now 3 certainties in life: death, taxes, and a rapture in 2025. I encourage you to prepare now. Your confidence depends on the amount of work you do. That's why we put these briefings together, to help you prepare.
Finally, come on, you love this. We all do. The Rapture and the end of the world? It doesn't get any bigger than this. Ask questions if you don't understand something. These briefings are for you. What I'm asking from you is this: take this seriously. Learn this to earn this. Let's show those elite, the ones on the mountaintop, this has not been a waste of time. For the rest of you, well, there's always the Navy. Good luck, guys. Back to you, Commander.
So let me summarize where we're at. We have told you the Rapture is coming in 2025. We've shown you the master plan behind it. We've shown you the key to unlocking this plan. My orders are to give you the good stuff up front, and that's what I'm doing. We'll take a short break at this point, and when we come back, Corporal Clay will walk you through, step by step, how his team unlocked the master plan and solved for the year 2025. Enjoy your break. I hope you enjoyed the video and learned a thing or two. If not, what the hell are we doing, yeah? You can watch all of our briefings by clicking the playlist. Be sure to subscribe for our upcoming videos. Please like, share, and leave a comment. Join with us, and together, let's save millions of lives.